You're listening to the StudioPTBO podcast, where we talk all things marketing to help you build and grow your business online. Welcome to the latest episode. Welcome to StudioPTBO podcast. We are back, and we're back at it again with another guest. We are doing an agency, kind of an agency series where we're talking to agency owners and we're talking to business owners and entrepreneurs just about what's happening in the current climate, current world. So I'm super excited to have Jenna Curry with me here today. Neil, before we hop into it, how are you doing? You doing well? Everything's good there?
Everything's good. Having a great day. A lot of good client calls today, putting out a lot of good content marketing, just going on the offense. No defense here. We're being super proactive. You and I have been talking to all these Facebook marketers about how it's go time. And that's what we're going to be talking to Jenna Curry about today. And welcome to the show, Jenna.
Thanks, guys. Happy to be here.
Awesome. So Jenna and I know each other through Stan Way. And Stan, you probably hear me reference Stan on the podcast quite a bit. I'm a big fan of Stan. I did the Cat Howell program with her agency Growth Labs, and Stan is one of those guys that introduced me to Jenna, obviously. And Jenna was a really big help through agency Growth Labs, getting our funnel set up. Jenna understands what's happening in the marketing industry. She runs quite a few businesses that we're going to talk about today. And, she's a boss when it comes to marketing. And so is Stan. So Jenna, I don't want to steal any more of your thunder. Why don't you give us kind of like a Spark Notes version on the kind of like who you are, what you do, what businesses you run, maybe tell us a little bit about Agency Growth Labs and what you're doing with Stan. Yeah, just give us kind of a high level overview.
Sure. Thanks. Thanks for the intro. And we could literally just sit here for, 30 minutes to talk about like, how great Stan is, how much he's helped our business. So I have been in internet marketing for the last 8 years. Started out in PR, kind of more physical marketing and kind of being a bully to get things done, and then knew that wasn't going to work long term. So really transitioned to the online space and did a lot of content marketing, social media management, until I left I was a partner in that agency, and then started my own agency the end of 2016, which is when I met Stan and went through the same program you did, and really focus on the paid side of advertising, and really loved that because it was data driven. I could account for every dollar we were spending. I love being the hero. So it's like, hey, look, we spent this much and we made this much, which for me was a lot more fun conversations than to say, we published this many posts, like we did this many things, and with really being able to see the return on investment. So been running, Facebook ads. I really, at the time when I started my agency, I didn't have a lot of money to, hire and build a team. And so I ended up learning how to do it all myself. So I just got really good at implementation. And so while I do have a small team today, I still find myself like doing a lot of implementation. I'm just comfortable there and a bit of a control freak. And so that's why, with the Agency Growth Labs program, like I like being hands-on and being able to look at things because I feel really comfortable there. Whereas if you went to me like, Jenna, how do I scale my team? I'd be like, okay, you need to talk to somebody else about that because I just do it on myself. And so I found a sweet niche in the last couple of years in education. So I work with different private and public education entities, as well as local businesses, but mostly in the education space, building their graduate programs, undergraduate programs. And that's been like a really great area for me. So right now, which has been great, with working in that niche, like you have long-term contracts, a lot of them have online programs. And so with the climate of things right now, with people pausing, these types of businesses are like, let's go, let's scale, let's grow. Like, here's an opportunity. We just have to make sure we're using the right language and making sure we're not acknowledging the fact that this is all going on. So pretty much every email needs to acknowledge the situation, every ad. Like, you can't just be like, look at me, I'm awesome right now, or you really just look stupid. So we've had to, switch up all those things. So I do work with some local businesses doing lead generation, but really education has been our sweet spot. I live in Wilmington, North Carolina, and I've split my time between there and here in Birmingham, where I am right now, and Alabama, where my boyfriend lives, and been hunkered down here for going on 3 weeks. So it's the longest time I've actually ever been here. So it's really testing out the old relationship. But things have been good. Things have been good. But back home, I have 2 other companies. I'm a co-owner of a print publication called Wilmington Today. It's a visitor relocation guide, and also a networking community called Port City Young Professionals, where we hold live in-person events and have a membership base. And so obviously those 2 businesses have been rocked by the situation as well. And then building the Agency Growth Labs program with Stan has been a ton of fun because, you know, I feel like I know exactly what it feels like to be in those situations of being a new agency owner or being an agency owner, just trying to build your dream agency, whatever that looks like. Could look like 3 clients, it could look like 300 clients. You know, for me, my dream agency is much more smaller, manageable, can run it from anywhere. I don't have to go into an office. I don't have to wear pants if I don't want to, you know, like that's my dream agency.
So Jenna, you're not busy at all, it doesn't sound like.
Not busy at all, just, you know, hanging out every day.
I'm curious, let's dig deeper in what you said. We're working with a lot of clients, and even our agency itself had to change a little our style in terms of design, graphics, copywriting, to be very thoughtful to the times, be very empathetic to the times, what everyone's going through. Dial deeper there if you can, and even give some examples of how you had to completely kind of reverse engineer some of the copywriting you've had to do in content marketing.
Well, one example, I mean, today we're notifying all of our advertisers for our magazine to let them know, like, this magazine isn't coming out right now, but we're not doing it. It's not like we're taking anything away from you. We actually want to give you more. And so it's going to cost us time and energy and, you know, profit in the long term, but it's going to, you know, let them know that we're advocating for them, that their investment in us was sound and solid. And so we're going to continue promoting them on social, where the magazines, it's the hardback book that were already out, are going to stay on the shelf. So those who are renewing, they're still out there, you know, for basically 9 extra months. So basically, even just like, you have to up level your client communication and letting them know, like, you're being proactive, you're thinking about them. And then as well, like, the outward message to your customers' customers and what that's going to be. And so, you know, a couple of our clients aren't allowed to be open. So a med spa that we work with has been forced to close. So we've had to get creative. A couple things we've done for them. One is discounting online gift certificates. So they have print at home gift certificates. So if you get a gift certificate with us now, that is going to, you know, save you 20% basically when the doors open back up on any product or service. They have a membership plan, which is great because that's providing cash flow in their business. So that was, you know, kudos to them for having that in place before this. So almost like pre-planning for something like this. They're saying, hey, if you do not pause, we're going to give you XYZ on the back end. So extra services, free amenities, free products. So they get to basically choose. So they get to keep their membership and then basically get some bonuses for not pausing. And then all those things that they missed kind of roll over. So let's say they missed 3 months of massage, they can double up or add it to the end of their membership. So things like that, where it's not necessary, it's basically helping businesses keep cash flow and still like kind of hooking up their customers so that they feel like, okay, a lot of people are looking at their finance and saying, what can I cut right now? What can I cut? So you have to find a reason for your clients' customers to keep them as an expense or bill, or see it as an investment really. One really cool story is an education entity we work with that is like very in-person. It's like EMT training. They train EMTs. So it's like, oh my God, how are we going to make this work right now? And they got special permission to be able to be considered a essential business because they're training EMTs, which is important. And they've transitioned from being a fully in-person program where people stay on site to being able to do the majority of it online, virtually, in in-person classes. And then at a later date, they come in and they basically just lump all the in-person stuff together. So what's been really cool about that is it's actually built in like a new revenue model for them, because this was something they had toyed with doing in the past, but now they're like, this could be something that we do long-term because it saves money for the participant. They only have to pay for a week of housing, you know, and they can do everything in 7 days instead of 19 days.
Yeah.
And our cost per lead for this particular entity, like it went, like we do a lot of retargeting for them. So retargeting was costing us like $4 for a lead, which is like really great. Anyway, it was like 29 cents. It was like crazy. So it's like, okay, obviously people are interested in this and want this. And so I love that story because they pivoted and are solving a problem, and it could eventually lead to, you know, a whole new revenue stream for them in the online section than before.
I love that. Like, and the reason I love that story is because it's a business owner, an entrepreneur that understands that it's, you know, because what we're seeing happen a lot, it's like, okay, I need to create an online offer to get me through till when things go back to normal. But it's like, well, how can you pivot in such a way that creates a revenue stream for your business that essentially supplements the income that you're going to get when things go back to normal? But the other element is like, what if things take 6 to 12 months to go back to normal? What are you going to do then? Like, you can't just expect to close up shop. And we talked to Kathleen Black. She's a real estate coach, you know, out of Toronto about this. Like, you can't just expect to close up your business for 90 days and not do nothing and expect to just, you know, turn the button back on and like everything just goes back to normal. It doesn't work that way. So I love the fact that that entrepreneur, that business owner recognized the revenue stream could be something new that is additional. And that's what I think real pivoting is. So I'm really curious to know, how have you pivoted with your two businesses, or what are you doing to pivot with your two businesses right now that are not agency related, you know, the publication and the event networking? Like, have you thought about strategies, and maybe like you can walk us through what that looks like, and, you know, maybe you can tie in agency growth labs into there and what you're doing with that. Yeah, but I'm just really curious to know what you're doing to pivot.
Well, so neither of those are particularly lucrative businesses.
Okay. Yeah, fair enough.
So though they haven't been my primary focus of shifting. So both of them serve my community that I'm from and that I love and that I want to build and promote and build the young professionals there and the small businesses there that I used to work with more with my old agency and now don't get to as much. So kind of like Wilmington Today is a way of providing a service to them. And so what we have done, and like actually neither of these things that we're doing are providing revenue for me. It's pivoting to just have a service-based mindset and focus so that when, you know, things do turn back on, that we're still top of mind, we're still relevant. We didn't just shut down for 2 months or 3 months or however long this is and forget about them. And now we're like, come back to us, be a part of this.
Totally.
Things we're doing is like, we've been doing like in the young professional group that I run. I pitched to everyone like, hey, do you guys want to do some virtual networking events? And I need to do that again, because when I first did it, I think it was before people were really maybe feeling the isolation. It was maybe a little early. Maybe I asked the question a little early. People might be more eager now. And then there were some other groups that were doing it. So instead I like informed our group about like some other events that were going on. We did some challenges in the group. So things, I was just posting a daily challenge of like, you know, post your morning routine, make sure you're reading 10 minutes a day, make sure you have a schedule, challenging people to go and leave a review for a business. So like things that were like inwardly helpful and also like outwardly for the community. One idea I had yesterday on my run, I was like, I wanted to, so we have about 24 like main clients through the year. So businesses that host us and sponsor us. And that's basically how the group runs and creates revenue, is allowing each one of them to do a contest each week in the group to give away a product or service. So they're staying top of mind to our audience. But also the way they enter is a way of, it's going to be some, and these haven't started yet, business building community thing. And it could be like, go leave a review for this company, tag their business, do something. So it's not just like comment to win, but it's a way of actually like helping these other local businesses in this time. So while that's not, unfortunately, that's not something that's going to bring revenue, it's something that's going to save future revenue, because they're going to realize that, you know, we are looking out for them and we aren't just like sitting back and waiting until, and hopefully, I mean, fingers crossed, we're going to be rescheduling all of our events. So, I mean, I've collected deposits from everyone. Not everyone has paid in full, so you know, many could back out, but normally we do one big event a month, so we could be doubling up the end of the year, which I honestly think people will be fine with, because people are going to be like anxious to, you know, double up, double down.
Yeah.
And we might even call it that, like double down networking this month. You know, we're doing 2 big events, because that's just kind of the model of that. And then with our magazine, that's been hard too, because we print 15,000 hardback copies that go, and they are for visitors that are coming to the area, newcomers, people who want to relocate here, and we're a tourism community. We're on the coast of North Carolina, so May to September is like when people are visiting, when they would be looking at these books, and what are advertisers paid to, you know, be present for. And so we had to make the hard decision yesterday to not publish this issue. And so what's good about that is that these have a really long shelf life. And so these books will, you know, anyone who was with us last year, most of our advertisers renew. So probably 90% of the people in the book will be in the next book. So they'll stay on shelves for that long, but we'll lose basically a year of a revenue for
and you have to hope those businesses stay afloat, can withstand this.
And we know that's, you know, and that's the thing that every single company is dealing with. And we know, like, we just like, if we can keep our doors open, if we can publish an issue in 2021, we're winning. You know, if we have to shut our doors, that means we lost. So what do we have to do to salvage the year? And because it's a secondary business to me and my partner, it's not like, how do we make money right now? It's, how do we serve our clients so that we'll survive another year?
Good for you. I'm curious, I read a blog post from you. I think you wrote it about a week ago, and it was just at the start of the crisis. And you talked about if you were to give someone a bag of lemons, you either let them rot, or how are you going to make lemonade out of them? And it's really true, because Cody and I find that people we talk to and the people you hang out with in life, you can often tell who's going to be sort of paralyzed by inaction and completely like tail between the legs. They can't handle the stress of it. What would you say to someone right now? Because mindset is more important than ever right now, being an entrepreneur, and creative ingenuity and innovation, and this ability just to pivot on the fly and do things. So what would you say to someone who's struggling with that right now? They're kind of on the fence and they're like, how do I make these lemons? Or am I just going to go the other way and just sort of like give up right now and wait? Like, what would you say to someone who's on the fence with that right now?
I think anyone on the fence knows what they need to do, right? Take action, whatever that is. And even if you realize it's the wrong action, it's just more important to take action, because then you get to realize it and then take a different action. But I think it's figuring out what you need to do mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically, to get yourself to take action. So that's different for everyone. But for me, like visualizing, where do I want to be at the end of this 3 months, 6 months, however long, do I want to look back at this time and say, okay, I survived? Or do I want to look back and say, I thrived, I'm better for it, I'm proud of the decisions that I made? And for me, I have to have work on my mindset. Like, I have some podcasts that I listen to. I joined a new mindset, like literally community that kicked off yesterday from one of the podcasts I was listening to. It was like, hey, we're doing this collective, you can join, we're going to do like the journalings and meditations and read books together. And I made a decision. I was like, I'm going to be super raw and vulnerable in this group. No one in there knows me. Like, I'm used to being like the leader of like things that I'm a part of, and I always have anxiety of like, I don't want to sound dumb, I don't want to ask them questions, I don't want to like be the like weakest link. But I was like, I'm just going to be super real, raw and vulnerable here about where I'm at, because like, as I mentioned, I've got kind of a lot going on. Like, and it's kind of like, where do I take action right now? What makes the most sense? And so like, I know for me, like having that community is crucial. Me exercising every day, like to keep my head clear, and like I have great ideas when my head is clear like that. And just and so I know it's different for everyone, but we all know what it takes to get us out of the funk of not taking action. So
yeah.
I love that. Like, you know, love the real, vulnerable, like idea of just, you know, being real and vulnerable with people. Because like when I was in San Diego before shit hit the fan, at a Brett Burchard conference, he talked about that. And that was a realization I had last month, was like, I'm not asking enough questions, and I need to ask more questions. I need to really push myself to find answers, because you don't find answers unless you ask questions. So, it's really unique. And I'm really curious to know, Jenna, like, maybe you could tell us a little bit about Agency Growth Labs and essentially what you and Stan are doing with that course. I went through it. Anyone listening that's an agency owner, because I know we're doing agency owner series, holy shit, you need to go through it. I'll let you sell it. I've already sold it. I've already given Stan a video testimonial, and I got retargeted with one of his ads saying like, be like, and the ad copy's like, be like Cody. I died. They posted the Agency Growth Labs the other day, or they're like, and then the next is like, be like Thomas, who like is crushing it as well. So I'm curious, like, tell us about Agency Growth Labs, how it can help agency owners and freelancers grow and scale their business.
Yeah, sure. So Stan, who's my boyfriend and business partner in Agency Growth Labs, he has just 15 years of experience in the online space, worked with tons of influencers and agency owners from all over the world. And he was in a coaching program I was a part of years ago, and just learned so much from him. And just it's kind of like, why aren't you like sharing your expertise with the world? And so that was kind of like the beginning of Agency Growth Labs when we had our beta launch last year. And I wasn't as involved with them. I was just more like cheering them on, like people need this, people want this, because there's a lot of people out there teaching agency owners, and there's a lot of people out there doing a great job. And a lot of it's finding the person that you believe, that you like, that you trust, that you are kind of like polarized like toward. So not to say like there aren't other great programs out there, but that what Stan teaches are things that will last the test of time. They're not based on having a great funnel. They're not based on having, being great at Facebook ads or YouTube, or like committing to a platform. It's a lot of the things that if you are doing these things and doing them consistently, and then you are going to continue having success. And a lot of things of like how you're managing accounts, how you're hiring, how you're communicating with your audience, how you're publishing your emails, what you're publishing on your social media. So like the things that you're doing that aren't just like a one-time hack that's gonna like, hey, this strategy worked for a little while, but it's like, what are the things that are going to, last over time as, like digital marketing evolves, has the way we attract clients evolves. And just even right now, I mean, I've been fortunate. I like literally lost a client 2 days ago. They came back on board today. I had being able to just like change the conversations, like, because I don't just run Facebook ads. Like I can write copy, I can do email marketing, I can do so many other things, even if it's just like, hey, let's make sure we're publishing something 3 times a week on your page so that your audience still knows that you're thinking about them, what you're doing. This particular spa is doing things like retraining their, training their staff on new things virtually, like learning new skills, like they're repainting walls, they're like making the facility better. And so it's like, let's like make sure that message gets out there. So yeah, there's just a lot of strategies in Stan's program that you're not going to find anywhere else. And, things like voicemail drops, which have done really well for you. And he's just the best cheerleader that I've just ever seen. Yeah. Like cheerleader, but also like principal, like calls you out on like,
100%.
What you need and should be doing. And I will say, like, he does not do any of that to me. Like he will not coach me. He will not coach me. He will be my cheerleader, but he will not coach me.
Yeah.
Like there's been a handful of times where he'll be like, do you want me to be your coach right now? I really just don't. So I actually don't even get to benefit from a lot of his like great coaching ability, but it's been so cool to see the students in there. Like it's like Cody, like just watching your business like explode and see the results that you're getting for your clients. Like I referred you someone the other day, just like with complete confidence. They wanted to work with me, but I was like, this isn't really my niche. Like, sure, I can figure it out, but like, please talk to Cody. Like this is his space. Like he crushes it for real estate. And so yeah, that's a little bit.
I love what you said about like, just that idea of, diversifying what you do. And that's, me and Neil have been chatting about that, over the last little while about like diversifying and, because a lot of people are pivoting. Like it's just crazy to see people going all in on one niche, which is something that a lot of people talk about it in our space. It's like go all in on one niche. And Russell talks about it as well. Like, Russell Brunson talks about one avatar, one offer, but it's like, there's something to be said about diversifying right now. Like, we have a web division, we do email marketing, we do text marketing, we do Facebook ads, we do graphic design. It's like, we lost our entire video division, but we're still afloat by doing other things. So it's like something to be said about diversifying. And Neil, like, I'm curious to know, like, what did you learn through Agency Growth Labs? Because you did some training.
Yeah, I did. Now, I learned a lot from Stan about kind of reinforcing principles of life, which is kind of what Jenna said, like not so much the micro details in the weed stuff, but more just like being a good person. It just reinforced all the values that I think you and I have chatted about, that, it doesn't mean that you find your tribe, you find your good peeps to surround yourself with who support each other. But guess what? It also means you push each other hard. And Stan really did. And I witnessed that, call people out on calls and say, you've got to be better. You've got to do better. You've got to try this or that, like, and give people homework. And, having the right peeps around you and the right tribe doesn't mean that you can't make them accountable. So more than anything, I think it's what Jenna said. It's just like principles of life. It's like, be a good person, be positive, have resilience, have a great mindset, surround yourself with great people, but challenge them too, and expect it to come back to you. Constructive criticism as well. Like always trying to be better. Yeah. So like Stan's a great guy. Like you feel like, Jenna, obviously he's your boyfriend. You just feel like right away, him and you have this comfort level that I've never felt with other coaches. So yeah, it's fascinating.
Yeah, no, it's phenomenal. And I really appreciate you taking the time today, Jenna, to sit down with us and just chat about, what you're doing in the space. Like, like tons of, like we've been getting tons of great advice from agency owners in this agency owner series about how entrepreneurs can really continue to pivot, continue to grow their business, continue to thrive, even in the midst of adversity. I think it's Napoleon Hill that said that something along the lines of every adversity that you face in life has a form of opportunity. And I think I truly believe that. And I truly believe that, as we head into uncharted territories as entrepreneurs, as business owners, we have the ability more than anything to look, like Jenna said, we have the ability to look at either go one way, left or right. And, you have your option to, get up daily and choose what way you're going to go and how you're going to be grounded in the moment. So Jenna, thank you so much for, being on the show today and just sharing with us about Agency Growth Labs and your business and just how you're innovating and how you're just, continually being creative. So really appreciate it.
I got to ask one question. The Agency Lab on the bookcase, it looks like an album. Is that an album you and Stan have released? What is that?
It's our mixtape.
Yeah.
It's a canvas. It's a canvas print.
It's really cool.
Yeah. It's printed out on canvas I forget what we use that for, but it fits like perfectly in the bookshelf. So we also have some mugs.
Yeah.
And,
it's funny, Jenna. I used to run a couples magazine in Toronto for 10 years, and I'm thinking, you and Stan, man, if it was still around, my couples magazine would be the perfect cover candidate.
I love it.
Anyway, no, it's a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Pleasure to chat with you. And if you are a business owner that is looking to grow in the online space, we have a StudioPTBO marketing hacks group that essentially is just full of entrepreneurs that are looking to grow and scale their business in the online space. It's a collective community. We're doing weekly chats that are just, really around the idea that we just want to help you, grow your business, get innovative. We're talking about ingenuity, very similar to what we're talking about on the podcast right now about ingenuity, creativity. So we'd love to have you on the pod. We'd love to have you inside of the Studio PTBO Marketing Hacks Group. The link is in the description below. We look forward. Again, thank you, Jenna. Thank you, Neil, for talking today about ingenuity, creativity, innovation. And thank you for tuning into the Studio PTBO podcast. We will see you soon.